toxic toy. Philip K. Dick was clearly inspired by Jacques Vallée's ideas when writing VALIS, and Jeffrey Kripal has explored both men's work deeply. How do you see Vallée's interdimensional hypothesis and control system theory influencing not just VALIS, I hope I'm saying that right, but the larger mystical psychological terrain that Philip K. Dick was navigating? Do you think Dick was having a genuine anomalous experience, or was he tuning into the same symbolic landscape Vallée describes? Also to Jacques, did you know about Philip K. Dick and his books at the time?
So, yeah, yes, I did. And, my answer to that is I think it was just in the air around Silicon Valley and around San Francisco and Berkeley at the time. I never met Philip Dick. He was just a few miles, north of here in Marin County. I think he probably in the course of what he did, bumped into some of my books on some of my ideas. I, of course, knew about his work, both with movies and his science fiction. I was a great reader of American science fiction at the time. And but I think that there were many people in the area who were thinking and, arguing about that. Of course, SRI with Puthoff and Tag and the remote viewers, those conversations were current in in the culture at the time. It was a fairly peculiar culture around San Francisco, but it was brewing in many, many different ways. So I don't think there were singling out, me and him, but there were many other people. There was no ethics. There was all of that going on at the same time.
Jeff, do you want to say anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, Jacques and I have not had this conversation, but somebody like Eric Wargo does think that Valis was somehow connected to Vallée, to Jacques. He had his Dick had his metaphysical opening in February and March of 1974. That's when this inrush happened, and he was completely blown away by it. And he vast VALIS stands for Vast Active Living Intelligence System. It was an acronym that Dick made up to describe this sort of cosmic mind that beamed into him in the winter of '74. And I do think I know for a fact because of his journals called the Exegesis, which have since been, some of which have been published, he does relate it to SRI and into what's going on in the San Francisco area, but only later, only after the fact. So the question is really, how do we think about this influence? And Jacques' thoughts and reflections there, I think, are spot on. I think it's just very much part of the time as well. But there might be something deeper, something inspirational going on as well, which is really Eric's point. That they're not exclusive. Those models are not exclusive.